Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Western Nomad. You might be wondering, where the heck am I in this shot? This is an outfitter in the town of Jardine, Montana, which is a small little, basically ranch mountain town outside Gardner, Montana. And everyone's gearing up for a little trail ride. This was really cool. It was guided by an outfitter called Roarin Outfitters. And I remember getting into the check-in area, which was like a little cabin in Jardine. And they gave me a written map. And they were like, go to this road and pass this mountain bridge. And, take a left here and a right here. Or you could just plug it into your Google Maps. So what do you think I did as a millennial? So plugged this Roarin Outfitter in my Google Maps, ended up driving up this long, narrow, steep mountain road, and eventually I got to the top of this mountain, and there was a bunch of horses in a stall and a bunch of tourists like me out there. So basically, we took a loop around this ranch that ended up being probably a little over an hour, good amount of people, and just incredible views of the Absaroka Wilderness and, the Yellowstone area. Kind of something out of the series Yellowstone, I'm not going to lie. That's why I wanted to do it. Because I wanted my Yellowstone moment, and I think I got it here. So this is my horse right here, Pet. Don't ask me why they named this horse Pet. And he did all right. He was a little stubborn, like to eat a lot of grass and stop all the time, but that's what horses do. So enjoy the footage. If you want to book something like this, just go to hellsaroarinoutfitter.com. I believe I paid, as an adult, $175 for this ride. At the end, they give you a little steak dinner, and one of the cousins of the ranch tells you the history of the ranch, and, it's just a real cool experience. Getting up this road, you need four-wheel drive, pretty much. All-terrain tires. It was a gnarly road, so be prepared for that. Enjoy.
beginning to pop. Although yesterday with all the snow, we didn't know if we were going to survive or not. Anyway, the place was founded in 1985. When you came into town, you came across the bridge. If you'd gone straight, you would have gone to Warren's ancestral home. He's one of 15 children. There were yours, mine, and he's part of the artist group. And he realized that he would never get his father's hunting business, so he started out on his own. They were squatters up here for the first 5 years of their married life. The little building where you got on your horses, that's where they lived for 5 years and had 2 children there. There was no indoor plumbing, there was no indoor cooking, everything was done outside, even during the winter time. So they're hardy people. This is only 25 acres. There's another 15 acres where you see the house roof over there. That's their son. And so together we are 40 acres here. But they own the mine. That's 550 acres. It comes with 2 cemeteries and several buildings. When you came in, you noticed 3 white little buildings. That's part of the mine. The mine was closed in 1960. Why was the mine closed? They hit the richest vein of ore they ever hit, but they also hit an underground river, and that flooded the mine. And that basically gave Montana the opportunity to close the mine. You have to understand, to extrapolate gold out of ore, you had to use a chemical, and that chemical was called arsenic. So all that water rolled down the hill, went to that creek, which then went into the Yellowstone River, which then went into the Missouri River, which then went to the Mississippi River, which then went into the Gulf, and then ultimately it made it to the ocean. So in 1960 they pulled the claim. We are still cleaning the tailings from that mine. Here we are, 50 years later, and in fact the inspector from Montana came today. So when you go down the hill, you make a very nice round right turn. You'll see a gate on the left-hand side, and that's where the tailings are. Also, when you go down the hill, you'll see one of the last remaining buildings, and that's the old mill. That's the stamping mill, and that's where the ore would come down. They would extrapolate the ore. They would then crush the ore, take the gold out. About $20 million worth of gold was taken out of here between 1900 and 1960, and that's when the price of gold was $7.20. Yesterday, the price of gold was $2,349, which meant over $1 million worth of gold came out of that hill. Now the mine has been imploded. You don't know where you will never find the entrance. We know where the entrance is, but it can never be mined again. There is a gentleman that goes into that creek, and he usually gets about 7 to 10 ounces of gold from the runoff, just the runoff. So there is some gold being done. Anyway, why do we have 195 horses and 35 mules? So over this hill, over 3 passes, you'll come to Roarin. That's where our camp is. In the summertime, it's mostly photographers and fishermen and families that want to get away from it all, because back there is no cell service. You can look up at the sky, and if you hit a satellite going overhead, you have about 20 seconds of cell service. So parents just love the fact that their kids can't be on the cell phone all the time. Anyway, how did we get the name Roarin? When Teddy Roosevelt came here to dedicate the arch, remember this is the first national park, and it is the second largest in area. The largest is the Everglades, but we have more usable land. They have a lot of swamps, they can't use it. Anyway, the Indian guide told him, well, I'm going to take you to a place where they have the best fishing of all, and it's called Roarin Creek, and that's where he took him. And that's where fishermen like to go to Roarin Creek. It is in the National Forest. So you only need a fishing license for the National Forest. You don't need one for the park. If you fish in the park, you have to have one for the National Forest and for the National Park, because you don't know when you're in the park or where you're in the forest. So and the fine is $150 without a license. So I don't think the fish are that valuable anyway. So that tells you a little bit about us. When they came here, as I told you, they lived in that little shack, which is right by where you got on your horses. Made enough money to be able to build a little 2-bedroom house there. After that, they built the basement of the big house, and they lived there for 8 years until they got enough money to build the top part of the house. The pavilion was only built 12 years ago. That's relatively new. Why do we have all these bathrooms around here? Well, George and Laura Bush spent the summer with us about 5 years ago. A delightful couple. Laura Bush is an ordinary ranch hand who ate out there like you did, who picked up her own dishes and blessed other dishes like you do when you're a ranch mom. Very nice, delightful people. And we house 30 Secret Service people. Because each one is assigned 15, which is at a cost of about $150,000 a year. But it's worth it, you know. Anyway, that tells you a little bit about us and what we do here. The reason we have the 35 mules is because I told you we have this camp 11 miles in. The only way to get there, by the way, is by horseback. And we take all of our supplies this way. In the spring, or right now, in about the middle, in about another week, we'll be taking all of the things that we need back there. All the tents, all the stoves, everything back there has to be brought in. And October 31st, everything has to be brought out. You cannot leave anything there. The only thing that we're allowed to leave there are the poles that hold up the tents. There are 15 tents, by the way. And the other thing is that we have a corral back there. And we can leave salt there, and that's mainly for the deer. But it's a great place. How many have been to Lamar Valley so far? All right. You went right by Hell's the Roarin Trailhead. That's where we take our customers in. It's a little bit easier. It also has 3 beautiful meadows with beautiful flowers. The Indian paintbrush here is usually orange and red. When it gets back there, it's a bright, bright orange, a bright, bright red, and a blue. So it changes colors as the elevation goes up. Anyway, it's a beautiful place to go, and if you're really a hardy hiker and you like to hike, if you go to Hell's the Roarin Trailhead and walk down 2 miles, you'll come to a suspension bridge that was built there in 1928 by the Conservation Corps. And it's still being used. We still use it. We still take mules. We still take people. We still take horses across that bridge. It's only been rebuilt once, and that was about 5 years ago, and they put 2 new cables in. All the rest of it. And if you look straight down, it's 150 feet to the river. So that's a little bit about that. We use those mules primarily for that, and it's a great place to go. If you ever get a chance, it's a wonderful spot. Anyway, all right, I need a helper to pass out. Usually, Chief.